Gracefully and Frankly is sponsored by Sierra Sil Joint Formula 14. Check out all the products on the shelf at Sierra Sil, and of course virtually too. You can order online, and remember, with Joint Formula 14, you will feel a difference in your joint pain, especially your knees, within 14 days, or your money back. We use it. Our pets have used it. Sierra Sil.
Sierra Sil is the website, too. Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. Use the code GF for 10% off.
Episode 87, and boy, howdy, we've got a lot to cover today, so we're just going to get to it. Hi there, I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. Did you feel that?
Feel what?
It was a bump. It happens twice in our lives where we get little accelerations in getting older. Oh, yay. But we'll tell you when and maybe how you can look at it in a good way.
For sure. And I'm going to just haul a random jingle out of my head. If you sing along with it, you get extra points. No prizes, but extra points. Do you read the fine print, Lisa?
Sometimes. Sometimes I just click accept and move on with my life.
Well, Disney is showing us why maybe you should read the fine print. Not that we will.
And Matthew Perry, the arrests that follow his death almost a year ago of people who supplied him the drugs that killed him, and what it says about addiction. It actually tells us quite a bit.
And a guy we were addicted to through the 70s, the 80s. He was a pioneer in TV talk shows. Goodbye, Phil Donahue. Signing off.
As we talk about getting older and the bumps in time when we are aging, our friends at Envy Pillow are all about aging gracefully, proactively, without pain, looking your best, because that on the outside has a lot to do with how you feel on the inside. And They do some wonderful stuff on social media, including the next time you catch yourself criticizing your body, remember that the global anti-aging industry was valued at $62 billion in 2021. In other words, you hating your body and hating the way you look is beneficial to these massive companies. So be kind to yourself. Don't devalue yourself. It's part of what we are taught to do, and we don't need to do it. And if you're on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, follow Envy Pillow. You'll get more messages about being kind to yourself and looking upon your body as what it is, which is a magnificent machine that allows you to do whatever it is you want to do.
Exactly. They are pro-aging on your own terms. Go to envypillow.com, ENVYpillow.com. Anything you choose on the website, get 10% off using the code GF. Well, we started the week, which seems so long ago, with the influx of news about the Democratic Convention and everything in Chicago. Oh my gosh, that watching Michelle and Barack Obama and all the amazing speakers. So exciting that on Tuesday night, I actually hardly even noticed that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez divorced. So that's her fourth divorce.
Yeah.
Anyway, we started the week with news of a TV pioneer passing away, and you know who we're talking about, right?
Yeah, of course. Phil Donahue. 88, and he was sick for a long time, and we haven't seen him in a long time, really, but oh my goodness, didn't everything come flooding back?
Everything. Between Peter Marshall, who hosted Hollywood Squares, dying at 98, and Phil Donahue, I was thinking about this on the dog walk today. These are the people who kind of helped raise us in a lot of ways, and I loved that he was a very early and proud and loud feminist.
Yeah. Well, and marrying Marlo Thomas, who was the ultimate in just building our self-esteem, free to be you and me and all that kind of stuff. And even that girl, watching that girl as a kid, thinking, between her and Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda, those were the women who raised us. And so the fact that he would marry somebody so awesome, we loved our Phil.
We did. And you know what he would love? That we're talking about him as Marlo Thomas's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the first guy to actually include the audience. When you watched talk shows, the audience was maybe panned for a second for applause, if acknowledged at all. But on the Donahue Show, whether it was, running through the audience with a microphone or is the caller there? Is the caller there? It was just so involved. And the reason was that he didn't think that women were just necessarily the dumber sex, that we had opinions, and it really did make a difference. And then, of course, it spawned all of the hosts that he called his illegitimate children: Geraldo, Sally Jesse Raphael, Jerry Springer.
Oprah.
Yes, of course, of course.
He was the granddaddy of them all.
He truly, truly was. Phil Donahue, gone at 88. And another death that came up, and we'll talk about this a bit later on, is Matthew Perry and the stuff that we've learned. But enough about death. Let's talk about aging and a study that came out in the past couple of days that we both went, oh, this is interesting, and it helps make a lot of sense.
It does, because now scientists say we have two sort of bumps in aging. It's not just a steady process, a steady decline, some would say.
Yeah.
But it's not just an easy slope or whatever. There are 2 points in our lives when it accelerates, and one is around our mid-40s. And one of the things that would come to mind for most people, and it did for me, was, perimenopause, heading into menopause. But apparently it's the same for women and men. So that's not the case. And then the other one is right around when we turn 60. I don't know about you, but I felt both of those absolutely. Like there's a point in your mid-40s or so where you go, I'm really not a kid anymore. Mm-hmm. Like maybe something I've been doing is a little youthful or whatever, and that kicks in, and that's a little bit of slap in the face with a wet mackerel. Mm-hmm. And then again, when you turn around about 60, and it's kind of the same thing, like, okay, 60, that's definitely not a kid anymore. And apparently, this is all prompted by physical changes that's happening on a molecular level to your body. Those are the bumps that we hit when we're getting older. Now, did you feel that when you were in your mid-40s?
No, I remember looking in the mirror at about 42, 43 and going, okay, it's never going to get better than this. So what are you going to do about it?
Right.
You make sure you buy the good moisturizers, or not necessarily the expensive ones, because there are a lot of studies that show that the really high-end moisturizers and cleansers, there are so many drugstore brands and much, much less expensive brands that have the same ingredients. So, yeah, that's when you start paying attention. And as the old saying goes, at 20, you have the skin God gave you, and at 40 or 50, you have the skin you deserve, meaning how much sun and all of that stuff. But it's when I started paying attention. But then at 60, something in both you and me started changing, and we took hold of our health in a bigger way. Why do you suppose that is? Is it the new number on the candles on the cake, or what do you think it is, Lisa?
I think it's looking around at our friends, many of whom we don't have anymore. Some are getting sick. Some weird stuff is happening to a friend of ours just today. Derek and I were talking about it, and it's stuff you could never predict. And, you can't prevent everything, but are we doing all we can? I'll never do all I can. And I just accept that about myself, because I'm not going to be a marathon runner or any of that kind of thing. And now that I've got this vestibular issue with balance, that's really off the table. But still, are we doing what we can within reason to try and stave some of that off? I know that's one of the things that keeps Derek and I walking as much as we do. It's not anything heroic, but we know it's really good for you.
Talking about walking and stuff, there was a study that said, guess what, that 10,000 steps thing, they made it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the impossible dream, right? It can be whatever you can do that day. And that's so important to remember, because so many of us go in thinking, I'm not going to get 10,000 steps today. Why even bother?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's just keeping moving, because remember the studies that said sitting on your butt for a long time is as bad for you as smoking.
Right. And it's getting up every once in a while and just moving around and parking a little further away when you go shopping or whatever you need to do. Just making sure that you're moving your body a little bit more. Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything Olympian, right?
Yeah, or Paralympian, as we're going to see next week, too, as those games get underway as well.
Yeah.
And then there is what we put into our bodies. It's the fuel. And if you have a high-end car, you've got to put in the best fuels. And look at our bodies, what they do for us. We are the high-end vehicles, and we're seeing this increase in cancers like colon cancer and all of these different cancers in young people because all of the food is so processed and there's so much sugar and high fructose corn syrup and all of that stuff. So many people are putting garbage into our bodies because produce is expensive.
Yeah.
We recognize that. And we're just choosing to go easier instead of smarter. It's human nature, and I think it all started when there was a McDonald's on every corner beginning in the 1970s and 80s, and we've just all gone downhill from there unless we decide at 60 or before or even after. It's never too late to take control.
The last time I went through a McDonald's drive-thru, because Derek has this thing. He doesn't eat this stuff very often, but every once in a while, and he has the same order he's had since the first McDonald's opened in London in the 1830s or wherever it was.
And the drive-thru was horses and buggies. Yes, I know. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And you had to use a funnel as an intercom. But he has the same order, and just every once in a while he craves it. So I went through and I thought, that's no problem. I get his order, 2 cheeseburgers, small fry, and chocolate shake. And I said, what have you got for salads? And there's like quiet, and it's like, ma'am, we haven't had salads for a long time. I'm like, oh, okay.
Jeez.
I guess I won't be eating today. Yeah, okay. What do I know?
And it set you back about $20.
Mm-hmm. And that was the whole thing about McDonald's back in the day. It was so cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, Derek's family, 6 kids and the parents, and they could all have dinner for $20 or whatever. And it was a treat once in a while. Well, can't do that much anymore.
Can you remember the jingle from A&W? I can.
No.
Let's all go to A&W. Food's more fun at A&W. Join in anytime. We'll have a mug of root beer or maybe 2 or 3. Pick your perfect size from the burger family. Oh, let's all go to A&W. I can taste it now, can't you? Hop in the car, come as you are, to A&W. There you go.
I did not remember that. That's...
Yeah, jingles don't work. And then, of course, 2 all-beef patty special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Well,
we all knew that, right?
See, that one, I could never forget that one, but I do not remember the NW one. That's too funny. Well done.
Hop in the car, come as you are to A&W.
There was something going around on the interwebs last week about cancel Disney Plus. And, okay, why are we canceling Disney? And the reason is there was something really serious that went down at a restaurant on one of the Disney properties. It was not a Disney-owned restaurant, but it was very serious. And Disney, did they do the right thing? Initially, they said you can't sue, and then they backtrack, and now they've waived the arbitration, and the family of a deceased doctor can now take them to court. It's a lot, but you can lay it out here for us, this big mouse-eared cautionary tale.
Yeah, a New York doctor went into anaphylactic shock at a restaurant, and the family, unable to sue, it's just unbelievable because of accepting the terms when they signed on to Disney Plus. And I guess they buried it in the terms that you're accepting everything that happens from Disney anywhere in the world forever.
Isn't that incredible? Yeah, just to backtrack a little bit, she died. They had a wrongful death lawsuit. Here's what's incredible. The family signed up like years ago, 2019 or something, for Disney Plus. There was a free trial of Disney Plus. Scroll through, agree, and then you get your download of whatever it is you're watching. But in those terms, you agree not to sue Disney for anything. And this is so smart and devious on the part of the Disney lawyers because they're saying, look, you give them 1 month of free streaming, and we are protecting ourselves on our cruise lines, on our parks, because this was at Walt Disney World, and all of these other Disney properties, just for a free month of downloads. Oh my God, it's so smart and just wrong.
Who reads those terms and conditions. I mean, let's be real, especially for signing up for a bunch of different apps. Like we have several, right, that we use for different things for creating stuff. So you just kind of go click, yeah, let's just get me out of this 90-page thing. And so you just go ahead, and this is what they put it. Now, I did read that in Canada, they'd have a much harder time enforcing something like this because, just like with mortgage rules and so many other things, the States is more lax about that kind of stuff, where we have more rules and it could be challenged in court. But in the States, I don't think they've got a hope.
I don't think so either. And it is such, generalization alert coming, such a litigious country. Yeah. Everybody will sue over everything. But in this case, the man who is suing, his wife and his mother, decided to eat at this Raglan Road pub because it was billed on Disney's website as having allergen-free food. She told them several times she had a severe allergy to nuts and dairy products, and then they ordered, and the waiter guaranteed that the food was allergen-free, even though some of the items were not served with allergen-free flags, which I guess is an important thing. She had trouble breathing. She self-administered an EpiPen, and then died as a result of anaphylaxis due to elevated levels of dairy and nut in her system. And you know what? They're only looking for $50,000. It's not like they're looking for, $100 million. And what value do you put on a person's life anyway, right?
Well, when it comes to somebody who's gone, the only thing you can do is talk money, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to open the door because then the next child who gets on one of their rides and goes flying off, and that will happen one day. They'll it's just, it's crappy, especially Disney. Who's supposed to be about families and Deadpool, but about families and about fun and being a carefree place and blah, blah, blah. It's going to make me look a little more closely at terms and conditions. Will I read them all? Probably not.
No.
You don't want to have to get a lawyer to look over everything when you download an app or a streaming service.
Well, frankly, we don't think that anything is going to happen to us anyway. You're getting ready to watch Pocahontas, and you're not thinking about anaphylactic shock at a restaurant in Disney World. You're just sitting in your living room, and it seems completely out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
So that's what's happening. That's why people were saying cancel Disney. Will it happen? Well, of course not. But it sure is a heads up.
We were told a while after Matthew Perry was found dead, which is like almost a year ago now, in his hot tub, that there would probably be charges against someone for giving him shots of ketamine outside of a doctor's office. And we know Matthew Perry was an addict and he had been clean for a long time, and ketamine is sometimes used for people coming off of drugs under a doctor's supervision. But 5 people were charged, a couple of doctors, some drug dealers, and Matthew Perry's assistant for giving him the fatal dose of this drug that's basically a tranquilizer. And I guess given in smaller doses, it makes you feel really good, but you can't get 3 shots of it randomly one day and live. And it's just so incredibly sad that all these people took advantage of him. And some of the text messages that have been revealed between this doctor, right? Basically, they were going to try and take him for all the money they could. And
how much can we get this moron to pay?
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
Calling him a moron and knowing that he was an addict. But my big question, Erin, was having read Matthew Perry's book, knowing about his assistant, who was a woman that he had met in rehab, and just how she had saved his life, and she was with him long term as his assistant, and then seeing that it was a male who was arrested, I thought, what happened to this woman who was his angel and helped keep him alive and made sure he stayed on the straight and narrow? And I went into a little bit of a rabbit hole with that. So she left him as his assistant on really good terms because her dream was to become a fitness trainer.
Oh.
And he helped her realize that dream. And she had put up social media posts saying, after 7 years, this wonderful man has helped me realize my dream. And they stayed in touch. They were still friends, I guess, but she was not in his life every day because the way he wrote about her, I could not imagine her saying, oh, yeah, sure, I'll shoot you up with this stuff that somebody gets for you on the street for $55,000.
Right.
This guy sounds like just an opportunist, this assistant who is now charged with a bunch of different things. Not murder, but pretty close.
And the thing with ketamine, too, is it is used as a recreational drug. And this is why in recovery we say, while you're doing your victory lap, your addiction is in the parking lot doing push-ups. It's ready to pounce
exactly
at any moment. You're just never free of the addiction. You're never free of that monster that's in the back of your brain going, come on, this would be fine. You're doing great. Gosh.
So many people wonder why, if somebody's been sober, say, for a few years, and then they get back on drugs, and that's when something horrible happens, like their life ends.
Yeah.
It's because exactly what you say. They don't start from zero again. They start where they left off and higher.
Yes.
And that's why, it's so much worse. I couldn't believe this summer I was having cravings for alcohol this many years later. So I can understand.
How many years?
I'm not in a program, so I don't market like most people do. It was 1988, so that would be, I don't know, do the math. I can't do it. But now I know I'm not going to have one at all because in my marriage, that's the end.
Wow.
That's just an unbreakable rule, so I would never do it.
Yeah. Just to wrap up on the note of you still, did you say you dream about it or you crave it, the alcohol?
Crave it. I crave it.
Last night we're watching the DNC convention and we're sitting side by side and I picked up, that turquoise water bottle that I have. It's glass and I refill it from the fridge all the time. I picked it up, got out of the chair and said to Rob, I'm going to go get another bottle of wine. And he said, what did you just say? I said, oh my God, where did that come from? Another bottle of wine. Okay, for one thing, if I was starting my second bottle, I never announced it. I would just kind of stealth out and stealth back in. But holy doodle. So yeah, it never goes away. Oh gosh, Matthew Perry, we're so sorry for his family and everything he was going through. God, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, after 87 episodes, and we thank you for coming along for the ride with us, almost exactly 2 years since we first came up with this idea. You pretty much know everything about us, but trust Lisa to want to know more.
We did our DNA last year on 23andMe, and Derek just sort of did the mini test, and I did the full thing just to see. And every once in a while, because they, of course, want you to come back and spend more money on, do you have a sensitivity to this? We can tell you. So I'm getting all of these emails saying, we have new relatives for you. So, okay, I want to go see new relatives. So I go in, and this woman, her first name's Roberta, do not recognize the surname, and they tell me she's my first cousin.
What?
Yeah, and my background, I've got Warsaw, Poland, I've got Prince Edward County, I've got all this stuff here. She's got England, but somehow we share almost 10% DNA. And it makes no sense to me. Now, that's supposed to mean we're first cousins, but she was born in 1976. You and I were born in 1962. And I do not have an aunt or an uncle that I don't know of. Or don't I? I don't know. But anyway, it's really wild just to see. We're from different maternal groups. We're from different paternal groups. Our ancestry, our Neanderthal ancestry is different. But she's supposedly my first cousin. And this is the kind of thing that comes up. So then you invariably message this person and say, hi, Roberta, supposedly whatever, and a little bit of history. And they've just gone on to look for relatives, and they never come back. And it can make you crazy. because they don't come back and answer your questions or anything. So I have no idea how I am so connected to this woman. It's just really bizarre. And this happens regularly if you've done your DNA.
I haven't. One of my sisters has. And maybe somebody who is listening today has a solution or a suggestion. Go to our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page and help a girl out. Lisa, for reasons I personally cannot relate to, wants more relatives. So...
Well, and I know all my first cousins, I think. It's very bizarre, but it's kind of fun.
It is. And I know somebody will have the answer, and we welcome that. We also welcome your requests for our GNF heart necklaces. Oh, my goodness. I would say they're flying off the shelves, but there's no shelves. It's your table. You're packaging these all up as they get shipped in.
Yep.
They were a big hit on our Gracefully and Frankly Live, episode 85. That's fantastic, and I wish I was there helping you.
Oh, that's okay. It's a lot of fun, and I was just bowled over by the number of requests for them, so I did an initial order of 100, and that's going to be gone the second they come in.
Ooh.
So people are getting in the queue for future orders. So the details are on our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page. Just scroll and you'll see what to do. If you don't mind waiting a little while for them,
yeah.
we'll get more. So
well,
it's a hoot.
We're heading towards fall, so it could be for that special friend or grandchild or whatever for Christmas. So Gracefully and Frankly, $20 all in, and that includes shipping. You're not getting rich on this, are you?
Oh no, we're not getting rich, but that's okay, and that's not the point, right?
Right.
I mean, I wanted to, I love capitalism as much as anybody, but I wanted them to be affordable. So yeah, we both did. So there you go. I'm trying to make it sound like I wanted them to be affordable, but Erin,
I was saying
no, that's not true.
No, we must charge. No.
No, you weren't.
We got to afford these flights to be together one way or the other.
No.
Okay, speaking of affordable, thank you to Sierra Sil and, of course, to Envy Pillow for making this free. What more do you want than that? And we'll talk to you again here next week. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye for now.